Yeah, why don't we start right now? Welcome back, everyone, for our afternoon session, the technology session at the at the symposium of the International Association of Women Philosophers, held in virtual Paderborn, with the great organizers, Ruth Hagengruber and her team, and the IAPh. And so we have as our last speaker for today, Emma Gabriela Sanchez Baizabal, and she will speak she will give a paper to the topic from cyberfeminism to tech and technofeminism to an ontological and feminist technology. Emma Baizabal is currently a student at UNAM. I have not written here what this is. Can you explain maybe yourself? And she also works with an independent interdisciplinary research group called Workstrix. Maybe you can also say a word about this. So I just give you the floor. Please give the paper, Emma.
Yeah, thank you very much. So thanks everyone, and thank you so much to the organizers. Yeah, UNAM is the Autonomous University of Mexico. I'm from Mexico. So yeah, so I'm gonna start reading, okay? So every time we talk about technology, we refer to categories such as instruments, tools, machines, etc., as if they were synonyms. Even from sociological and some philosophical discourses, technology is always thought as an aggregate of modern production objects inscribed in the big technoscience picture. The brief and Eurocentric history of philosophy of technology is outlined in an unbending antagonism between technophobes and technophiles. The former characterized technology as the main reason of alienation, loss of experience, and mystification of life, as well as the mechanization of the body, territory, nature. In short, technology is equated with capitalism. The latter, on the other hand, deems technology as the dogmatic dream of freedom, emancipation, progress, and a utopian future. This view of technology is also possible due to capitalism, but in a good spirit nature. Both approximations to the issue have problems. Their starting point is a colonialist, masculinist bias characteristic of the global north. They understand technology as a means to an end. This is instrumentalist notions where technology can only be slaver or emancipatory. They displace the problem of this instrument to the ideology that produces them as particular form, capitalist, extractivist, dominant, that encloses them. In order to confront this matter, several feminist theorists have done critical contributions about the epistemic and political conditions from which technical production unfolds. The way it modifies life, bodies, nature, and subjectivity in women has a special attention. Among social feminists, for example, the relations between a woman and technology runs through the acknowledgement of reproductive work, their role in the workplace, and care work. Judy Wachman has developed important analysis regarding the relations between gender and technology that picks those contributions and critique of radical feminists that centers around sexed bodies and the exercise of women's sexuality. This author's technofeminist proposal is based on a constructivist viewpoint of technology that recognizes the double implication and co-creation between technological materiality, understood as a network of artifacts, institutions, organizations, etc., and gender, where the relation between production, design, and use consumption is not only intimate, but has to be deconstructed. Donna Haraway is the paradigm from where a series of insights have been articulated whose main motive is the cyborg or semiotic material machine. The cyberfeminism of the 90s were born out of these concerns and cover a wide spectrum of digital political arts and practices, from representation and participation of the feminist body in digital spaces to the question about the makeup of these same bodies' practices in such spaces. The importance of digital spaces in this practice is that they're understood not as alien to day-to-day practices, but as an extension that, in many instances, emancipate the inventive potential from recodification. Contemporary theory developments, for example, among xenofeminists, has followed a strand of analysis of technology that leads to the participation of the production of a better quality of life for women. Even though this proposal centers around the acceleration of technical production to achieve destruction of everything, even gender, this recourse seems more akin to a political provocation. Especially in Latin American context, hack feminists have strong mobilization on the side of access, appropriation, and rewriting of technical resources such as algorithms, protocols, and servers. Be it democratizing the internet, foster the reproduction of devices that emancipate women from domestic labor, or even the old dream, now a nightmare, of assisted conception, many of the proposals laid out are founded on the instrumentalist approach that conceives technology as the industrial production of discrete objects that serve as the emancipation of a particular political subject, women. In what follows, I like to bring back the reconceptualization of technology developed by Gilbert Simondon in order to think alternatives to our relation with technical objects. What interests us of this conception is that it's entangled on the process of individuation and individualization. This is the modal condition through which the real becomes such. This is not the old problem of being and beings split. We assume that all beings have a load of being that doesn't exhaust its possibilities. This is an excess from where new potencies emanate. Individuation is precisely the process where what it becomes in its modality. The process where what is becomes in its modality. When Simondon asked about the particular ways where the technical realized, the answer is a process of technicity that in general is a process of concretization of technical objects. The question of technicity is the answer to the question of the technical as such. Where Heidegger thought that the essence of techne wasn't technical, this is where the essence of modern techne had to be sought in the way techne was a modal condition of being in its unfolding to the human. Simondon turns the screw. The essence of techne is properly technical. It resides in the way of proceeding of the unfolding of the technical real. This is technical objects. What looks like an engineerism that goes through the process of production of tools, machines, and assemblage is actually a philosophical reconceptualization of the problem of the technical. We then start to talk about technical objects not as a particular objects that include even institutions and organizations, but from the complex network of operatory and functional relations that produce individuals and assemblage. The technical objects, a set of schemes of function and structure, is not the result of a design choice. It's about a process that is constantly changing, a process of concretization where the human participates only as a crystallized gesture. To discover such process as the proper realm of the unfolding of the technical is technology itself. Technology, such understood, goes from the particular built in the Industrial Revolution until today towards a process of philosophical thinking that encounters the technical in itself. This theoretical approach does not fed from the accelerationist utopia that finds its roots in technocratic aspiration, and neither is the image of the cyborg that its contemporary iteration found in the transhumanist paraphernalia. Problematic approaches, for they forget about the technical production in an operative sense and end up making up a robotic ideal with the biases of a humanist that disowns itself. The potency of the technical does not come from the emancipatory mode in which technical objects can be used. We said with Stigler that all technique is a pharmacon that can be both venom and antidote. Yet its potency is not in either side, but in the concretizing act revealed by the technical process as its operation, what we call invention. In the same way, when we talk about bodies, as in women's bodies or feminized bodies, it's not about biology, but about operatory structures that organize and reorganize, that form meanings and produce sense. When speaking about technical potencies of the body, we don't mean to diverge on the waters of the human's prosthetic condition, whose technical inflection centers around an extended biology. With this idea, we look to displace the problem of subject's determination with a stable, clear, and distinctive identity, for example, women. Contrary to this result, grounded in an abstract political subject or a particular individual in the fashion of neoliberal markets, technical inventiveness is the germ that triggers collective individualization. For Simondon, the concept of individuation referred to the emergence of the extrinsic compatibility between medium and organism and the intrinsic compatibilities between the subsets of the act. This means invention can be understood as a produced object that mediates relations, but also, and more importantly, as an act that allows the creation and modification of them. The invention act is a catalytic activity of movement that produces not only objects, but new ways of inhabiting life. The relevancy of every inventive act is the effect it produces, not only in regards to its results, but in the operation itself on which it relies. It founds and structures. The invention is induced by a necessity of internal compatibility effectuated and expressed in the organized system that includes a subset of the living being through which it advances. Every inventive operation in its technical sense is a modification or creation of a structure. While it refers to heterogeneous mediation, it also has a functional place among different orders, and as such allows the subject's action to take place. We insist that such invention does not refer to the practical use with which a problem is solved, but the act that expresses and lets life. The construction of a relational realm, in this sense, more than a spontaneous activity, it's about a creative dynamism that emerges in the directed interaction of body to the resolution of a conflict or a tension, what we refer as operation. This concept of invention is not the same as innovation, nor is it in the relation to productive intentionality, but with psychosocial individuation or transindividual, to call it as Simondon does. The complex and systemic unit that exceeds the individual, at the same time it interiorizes it, the collective formation. If innovation finds itself on the side of production as an intentional idealization that has its end in the object market, the conceptual force of invention, understood as restructuring operation that solves a conflict, lies in its technical and political thrust. The operation enhances new model of relational conformation, both inside technical production itself, as well as the political organization with others, understood not as separate realms, but in the real and practical intertwining. It isn't an amalgamation of cybernetic dreams between the biological and the technical or artificial, but an operatory analogy that inspires us to think other ways to act and inhabit together. Thus, a technological attitude centered around inventive activity implies the acknowledgement of operative potentialities that can promote other symbolic and bodily exchanges. This is a production in terms of individuation instead of creation. It's about a new ontology in the sense that is not centered around the difference among beings, but an ontology of becoming that materializes along ontogenetic process where the technical potential remains as an operatory unfolding. Such generated action is not led by an effervescence lacking control of any virtuality, but tends to the functional registers and possible restructurings. Technical invention is a political ontology insofar an activity that expresses life. We hope this approach is that instead of remaining in the political potency of technology, will let us invent a technological potency of politics. And that's it. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry for all the wobbling.
Thank you very much for this interesting theoretization of invention of or the potency of inventiveness of technology. I'm not sure if I put it right. Are there any questions?